Hey, hi, this is Arslan from vrtechie.in. Today we will see how we can clean meshes for 3D printing and scanning. So what we have over here is we have like few images, 360-degree images of a model that was shot in a museum. So we can see the model over here. Like if you will turn, you will see you will have like a lot of images from different angles and everything, so that it can be processed and then a mesh can be made out of it. But the problem is, once you import this mesh, the obj file in ZBrush, you will see a lot of artifacts and a lot of things which are not desired in the 3D print are also are also captured. So how to clean about that, we learn over here. So as you can see, we have a mesh over here. It's not vertically and horizontally aligned. You can see like a lot of junk is present here. So how we can clean that, we'll learn in this tutorial. So first we'll do is we'll press Shift P to open the grid of ZBrush. Then what we'll do is we'll draw a transpose line using W, and then we'll drag it straight. Then we'll press R to rotate the mesh and make it straight. We'll try to see that mesh is properly aligned to the grid, so that like we have proper, while we are sculpting we get proper idea, and the mesh is not like oriented in proper angle. Then what we'll do is we'll press Shift F to see like if the poly count and details on the mesh. And then what we'll go to texture, then import, and then we'll import this texture file of what we have got with the mesh. And then we'll go over here, and then we'll press Flip V and then fill object. So once we press fill object, we'll see the mesh has captured the texture with it, and the texture is applied on the mesh. Right now, like if you use this texture map, it is really helpful because it gives the sense of lighting and everything, and we can easily sculpt on the mesh. It is very helpful if you like open the texture file and then do the sculpting on top of it. Then what we'll do is we can see a lot of irregular meshes are like flying over here. We'll take this mesh and then we'll export it to Meshmixer. It's also a free software by Autodesk only. So there you can clean meshes easily without like losing the texture information and everything. We can do this over here in ZBrush also, but the problem is ZBrush, like if you close the holes and everything, the texture detail goes away and you are not left with texture quality and everything. I personally like prefer the workflow taking mesh from ZBrush and then going to Meshmixer and then coming back and sculpting details over here. So what we'll do is we'll go over here in scripts, and then we'll go to 3D print exporter. Then we'll make this mesh 10 inches high. This is a general practice that I prefer to do. And then we'll press selected obj, and then we'll name the file to Meshmixer. We'll save it as a obj file and then press save. We'll go to Meshmixer, and then we'll go to the folder where we have saved the file, and then we'll drag this file to where will load up, and then we can see the the model is now there in this Meshmixer. The navigations are very simple, just like Maya. Like you can press Alt and left click button to rotate this thing around. You can press Alt and right click button to zoom in, zoom out, and then simple rotation. There's nothing much to learn in this. And then what you have to do is if you press S for selection, and then you can drag on top of the mesh like this. So what will happen is like it will select all the areas which are not desired, and then you can press delete. Then same over here, like you can pull the mesh in front. Then what you can do is you can draw a straight line. Like if you will press S, and then if you draw a straight line like this, so everything below this line will be selected. And if I encompass this, so everything like below this line is selected, and then you can press delete key, delete. So like all the flying junk areas are now like getting deleted. So you can do the same thing. You can select this part and then you can press delete, and say same over here, select and delete, and then zoom out. Then you can press select, delete. Delete. Actually, using Meshmixer is a really good option as compared to like dynamishing it in ZBrush. Because if you dynamish in ZBrush, like a lot of areas are there, like for example webbings of hand, like webbings of feet, and like when two objects are colliding between, like when they are like very in very close contact. If you dynamish the model, like this is for the people who are thinking like why are not we using like a dynamesh function in ZBrush, because that is like really easy. But the problem is like you have to go on very high resolution, and it kills the detail of the mesh, and a lot of time your computer system is not able to support that high poly count. So it is better to like remove those junk pieces over here. So now what we can do is like as we have like cleaned all these areas over here, then we can press S and like make a small selection over here, just like that, and then in front of it, and then we can press Shift Control B. So you can see this horizontal thing is now like the bridge command in Maya or Max. You have this like thing bridged from left to right or front to back, and then like we have to accept this thing. So we'll press accept. Then we'll like make the selection away, and then we have to do this clear selection so that like this orange part goes away. That selection thing. We'll select this part, and then we'll press Shift B again. So this part and this part are connected now. Accept and clear selection. Then we'll do the same thing over here. Like we'll select this area and we'll connect it with this part, and we'll press Shift Control B, and then we'll accept this thing and clear selection. So you can see I have made these small like island. I've segregated them, and then I'll go to analyze. And inspector. So it is like giving these small balls that okay, these areas have some problem with them. We also know that these areas have problems. So what we can do is we can click auto repair all. So it will take its own time, and it will repair the mesh for you. So you can see like this the way we have like polygroups in ZBrush. Meshmixer has also generated several group islands. So the mesh is now completely like it has non-manifold surface, so that it is like good for 3D printing. But we have like cleanup job to do, so like it is good for us to start with the model. Then we'll press done, and then we'll go to export. Then we'll go to the same folder we are exporting these files, Control C, and then we'll save it over here. We'll say last time we mentioned it at 2 mm. Now we'll say from underscore mm from Meshmixer, and we'll press export. Okay, so it will export the file. We'll go to ZBrush now again. We'll go to this tool, simple brush. The best thing is never ever import like your file in the original file that was there. So you have to choose this button sbrush, and then you have to like do import. Now from mm, we'll drag it on the canvas. Press Control N and T, Control N to clear out the canvas. Then we'll go to the original tool from where we exported our file, and which was this one. We have like made it straight and everything, and then we'll go say from mm. What we can do is like we can go to like we can import both these files from mm and 2mm. So from mm, like we'll import it first, and then we'll go to the simple brush again, then 2mm we'll import into the canvas and Control N. Now what we'll do is we'll press append, and then we'll import this file from mm. You can see this mesh is like perfectly like sitting underneath the original mesh. So both of these mesh have like same vertex position and everything, which will make make very easy for us to like project the textures and everything on the new mesh that is generated now. So we'll go to from mm, we press Shift F, and if we see on 2mm sample texture, we will use this texture file. So you can see texture is also there. Then we'll go to from mm, and then we'll dynamish this object. Geometry, dynamish, and then we'll first see like how it is on 128 resolution. We are losing all our details, so what we can do is like we can use 256 and then we can divide it further. So we have like details intact and everything is now quad. So what we can do is like go to geometry and then we can divide it sometimes like one or two times, and then on the lowest subdivision level we'll go on to the lowest subdivision level, we'll go to subtool and we'll make sure that this paintbrush icon is on. So and then we'll do is a project, like we'll go to geometry. I usually use the shortcut, but I want to show you where this button is. So like you'll go to project and what you'll do is you'll press project all. So it will say one or more visible subtool contain polypaint data. Would you like to project polypaint data or to the active subtool? That is exactly what we are trying to do. So we'll say always yes, skip this until ZBrush restarts. So we'll wait and we can see the polypaint data has now been projected on the new surface that is like quad. So that is really good for us because we can easily like sculpt on the quad geometry as compared to the triangulated one. Then we will go on higher subdivision level in geometry. I'll press D again and then I'll do the same thing. I'll go and do a project all, so that we are able to get finer details out of it. Then on the third level I'll do the same thing. I'll press D, go to subtool and then I'll do a project all. It will take its own time. Okay, so now you can see like in terms of texture quality, if I press solo, like solo where, so one model will be visible at a time. So if I press solo and then like on the keyboard arrow I press up and down arrow key, so you can see like for example this was the original mesh that had like original texture and everything, and this is a new mesh which has like the texture detail as well as like it has not lost like texture details, and it is a like quad mesh, so we can easily sculpt on that. So like you can see we have like good mesh to work on. Now the job is very easy. Like what we have to do is we have to like go and use our smooth tools and like dynamesh and Damien standard and those tools only. So what I'll do is like I'll press shift and then I'll reduce the intensity. I'll like turn off this RGB off, because like if I don't turn off like RGB off in this smooth thing, so you can see my texture details are also getting lost. So to avoid that I'll go and like turn off RGB off, and then in the smooth like Z add thing I'll reduce the intensity, and then I'll try to smooth this thing out. It's better to reduce the intensity of the smooth brush, because or else like you'll lose like major volumes in the geometry. If you like put this Z intensity 10%, 20%, no matter, you have to like sculpt like smooth it several times, but the results will be far better as compared to the normal thing that we'll do. Then what we'll have, like we'll press shift and then we'll try to smooth this thing out. Like we'll increase the intensity and like we'll go on a lower subdivision level and then we'll smooth these details out. We'll keep in mind the like anatomy of the character, so that a lot of volume is not lost in the process. And we'll use a native like sculpting tools. As this is not a sculpting tutorial, I'm not showing you techniques or tricks about sculpting. I'm just showing the tricks about like how you can clean these models up. And I'll use this as like texture as my reference point. So where there are major geometry change, I'll try to stick to this. My most like used tools are Damien standard. Like if you'll go to this brush palette and press D, and the version of software which I'm using is ZBrush 4R7. So if you'll go over here, press B, and like you can see press D, you can see Damien standard over here. So the brush, what it does is like it draws a very fine line. Like if you are using a knife to sculpt the details out of it. So this brush is really useful. And like at the same time I have also assigned alt X as my hotkey for like turning off and on textures. Like if I'll press alt and X, I can turn this texture off, and I can see the geometry without any texture details. So it becomes easy for me to see like, okay, where the details are and everything, and I can put them back or like remove this mesh from there. So yeah, I'll keep continuing working on this, and then I'll show you the result after some time. Okay, so like my sculpting is done now. So what I'll do is I have modeled this like base mesh in Maya. So as you can see, like this model is there. It is a very simple model, just a box, extruded box actually. So what I can do is like, if I go and see over here, the base is not very sharp and not very crisp. So, and the like the lower edges are also not very great. So what we can do is like, we can clean this thing in like ZBrush and like make it polished and everything. But like cleaning this thing from hand is not very, like, it's a skill job, so a lot of people cannot do. If you can, then it is good. Or else what you can do is like, you can go into like, you can import this base mesh. So I've saved it as base, import it in like ZBrush, and then like you can append this tool in the file which we have made. So you can go to append, then you can append this base, and I'm using the solo mode, so I'll turn this solo off, and I'll try to position this base in a way that it is like completely like encompassing this model the way the original base is. So I'll try, and I'll try to keep the like lower part of the base thick, so that it has like good hold and the model doesn't fall off from there. So I'll turn on the ghosting, I'll press shift G, and then what I'll do is I'll scale the model like slightly down this base, and I'll try to see if it is encompassing it from every direction. Now this looks good to me. What I'll do is I'll press shift G again, and then I'll go to geometry, and in the decimation tab I'll make it like 256, and I'll dynamize this thing up. So you can see like edges are sharp and everything, and like the base is preserved now. So what I'll do is I'll press shift control shift, and then I'll activate the symmetry. I can go to this tool palette over here, this transform palette. I can dock in the side, and I can see which symmetrical axis is like currently I'm working on. So I need this Z axis. So what I'll do is I'll use my clip curve brushes. So if I press control shift and then I click on this, I have like n number of clip brushes, clip curve, clip rect. I'll use this clip curve, and then what I'll do is I'll like clip this thing out. So I have like a modified base that I made in Maya. Now what I'll do is I'll like tuck these like parts in which are like actually coming out. So what I'll do is I'll use my move tool, and then I'll like quickly place them in, so they are not like floating about and like destroying the clean look of the model that I am trying to get. And actually I'll let this part like slightly out, so that it has like when once I dynamize this thing, it has good like merging thing going on with the new base that I have made, and the model is strong and sturdy. So I'll keep it this way, and then I'll go to then I'll save my file first. I'll do 03 version, and then I'll duplicate the subtool. I'll press duplicate, and then I'll go to merge down. So you have this merge option over here: merge down, merge similar, merge visible. What I'll do is I'll use merge down command over here, and I'll turn off this like visibility of the original tool. Then we have like made this small shortcut over here. You can use it from merge down. So I'll press merge down, and this thing is now merged. But the problem is, like, if I smooth this thing out, it can easily be like you can see it is like moving all about. So what we can do is we can go to geometry, and then we can dynamize this thing up. So before doing that, if I dynamize it right now, so you see we have lost lot of details, and we have lost polypaint data as well. So what we can do is we can like turn off the polypaint thing. I'll press alt X, my shortcut key, or you can press it over here, and then I'll go to geometry, and then I'll try to do a higher resolution dynamic. So I'll use 500, and I'll press control and drag into the canvas. So I can see like I have not lost much details, and details are intact, and my polypaint data is also intact. So I'm good with the dynamic operation that has been performed. Now what I'll do is I'll go and smooth this thing out, so that all my edges are sharp and crisp. So you can see like I have smoothed this thing out, and it will like stick with the mesh in a very good fashion. So I will not have to worry about like the mesh the parts being breaking or any other thing. So it's quite good. And now I'm happy with like my dynamic part and my sculpt part. Now it's time to export it to like packages like shapeways, or like where you can print, or a sketchfab where you can view this model. So what you have to do is you have to go into uh, Z plugin over here. Z plugin, you have to dock this on the right hand side, and then we have these two wonderful plugins called Z plugin 3D print exporter and decimation master. We'll use them. So before using them, I'll make a clone of my model. So I'll do clone, and then I'll go to the clone version. I'll go to decimation master over here. Like as we can see, we have like very high poly count. So this is very high, like if you will export this thing out, it will be a very high kind of mesh and everything, which is not actually required. So what you can do is like you can decimate this thing up. So I'll go to decimation master. I'll use this option, pre-process current, and I'll press this button. So it will do its thing, it will calculate and everything. Now once I like do a decimation, usually the value is default value is 20%. So if I'll do a 20% decimation, and I'll turn off the wireframe, so that like ZBrush doesn't crash on me or anything, I'll press decimate current. Now you can see the model has decimated, and like it's losing some of its quality. So what we can do is like we can undo this operation, and then we can do a 50% decimation of it, decimate current. And now we have like decimated the model. Like we have reduced the poly count. You can see like the poly count which was not required in these areas has now gone. So everything is like looking fine and dandy. So what we can do is like we can smooth these some of these areas, and then we can go to a 3D print exporter. I use inches, and like 10 is my default, so that like all my models are like 10 inches. You can actually scale them in any like 3D sculpting program. So like Meshmixer, the one which we are already using. So I'll use like 3D print exporter selected, and I'll export a STL version. So I'll go where I'll make this file deci underscore STL, and I'll save this, and I'll actually export OBJ also. So I'll do desi_obj and I'll export this thing. So now my model has been exported and I can actually like upload it to Shapeface or Sketchfab and my clients, or like I can print this model out. So this is it. If you want any help or any 3D printing related queries and you want me to answer them, you can quickly post them on this YouTube link that we have provided. Or if you have like 3D print models and you want us to process them for you, we can do that as well. Or else, if you want to learn about 3D printing, virtual reality, game development, normal 3D softwares and everything, you can visit our website, which is vrtechie.in, and you'll find tons of useful content over there. So I hope you learned something out of it, and wait for our videos, and you can subscribe our channel also. So we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.